love the names on this team. They have Sixto Sanchez, and they have my favorite name probably in baseball right now, Jazz Chisholm.
Showing emotion in baseball is terrible and should never be in the game.
It's weird how the dynamic works between sports.
But to win a championship, not only do you need great players on the court, but you need good chemistry, which takes time to develop.
Justin Fields is a all-time talent.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians.
I feel like Luka will take that next step, and if he can get a three ball consistently around 35%, I feel like they could become a contender.
We can make jokes about you not being in the Super Bowl for 20-something years, but...
What's up, everyone? This is Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild and Lift the Mask, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? We are back with NFL Opinions of the Week. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm Kevin, and I am joined by the man that loves Tom Brady, the man with the stats, Austin.
Yeah, I do like Tom Brady. He's the GOAT.
Yes, he is. And speaking of Tom Brady, do you take issue that he took a leave of absence from preseason?
No, he deserves it. He's been in this league long enough that if he wants to take a little bit of a break, he can. And according to Todd Bowles, because of veteran leave, like veterans don't have to stay for all the practices during preseason, he only truly missed like 3 or 4 practices. So,
yeah, I agree. Like, I didn't take any issue with it, but I know they're like, we don't know when he's coming back. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it really matters. I think Tom Brady has been through it enough, more than just regular NFL people. He's probably done it 2 or 3 more times than what they did. So if he wants to take a break from preseason, I don't think you really have to worry about rust with him because he retired at the end of the season and then unretired before the start of the season. So I think he should be fine. He knows the system because I don't expect the system to change, and they're just really good players. I'm curious on the Julio Jones signing. I don't think we've talked about that yet.
yeah, he struggled a little bit last year with the Titans, but he still has that athleticism. He still has that skill that we know that he has had his whole career. The issue is just going to be injuries. Can he stay healthy? And I definitely think he can if he takes care of his body because he's not going to be the main target. There's many wide receivers ahead of him. And if that takes place where he can stay healthy for the entire season, he's arguably the most valuable asset to Tom Brady besides his O-line and Mike Evans.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with Julio, he can be primarily a red zone threat because I'm not sure if he can still be the threat he was just all over the field. Because there's a lot you're going to miss with Rob Gronkowski. I know you're still on Rob Gronkowski coming back. I disagree. We'll see who wins or who gets proven right. But with Julio, I think he can replace some of that production in the red zone, even though he's not going to fully replace Gronk because Gronk was just a menace all over the field. But I think because Julio's bigger and now you got some great targets for the red zone. That's how I view it. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how this Bucs team does. I don't really expect a slow start.
Yeah, I definitely don't expect a slow start. They have way too good of a team to really have a slow start. Even with the injuries that they've had, I understand that definitely hurts their chances, at least the beginning of the season. But I firmly believe that this team is ready to make a push again. And with Tom Brady, you always have a high chance of winning the Super Bowl. So I think they'll be there. I think they'll be ready. And I definitely think that they have a good chance of doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And now to the Panthers, speaking of quarterbacks, Sam Darnold did not win the quarterback competition. Baker Mayfield did. To me, that doesn't seem like a surprise. I expected Baker to win. I don't know if the thing is, I don't know how Baker's going to play this season, but I still think he's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
I know I'm a lot higher on him and Kirk Cousins for that matter. And I definitely think Baker's going to have a good year. As long as the health is there for the rest of his team, guys like Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, their O-line, as long as those guys can come to play and stay healthy for the majority of the season, I definitely believe that they can get it done.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not sure how Sam Darnold plays. And then we will talk about Kirk Cousins in the future, hopefully very soon. But it would be interesting to see how he plays with the new offensive coordinator with the Vikings. But so we talked about the Panthers. Desmond Ritter looked good in the preseason. And do you really take a lot of how much do you care about the preseason?
Do I watch it? Yeah, I watch it, but you got to think that a lot of these players that know they have a spot are not trying 100% in fear of injuries and losing millions of dollars. Because in the NFL, you can be cut as long as your contract's not guaranteed. You're not going to get paid all that much at all if you're hurt. So they have to be careful and cautious when they play. And I think a lot of people do that. But also for those rookies, those guys who know that they need to try to get their spot or maintain their spot, it's interesting to watch. They play with a lot of desperation, knowing that a job is on the line and a job they dreamed about their entire lives. So I do care about it, but it's not everything.
Yeah, like I'll watch it, but to me, sometimes if other things going on, I'm like, we'll see what happens because I don't think it really matters who wins the game. To me, what matters is an individual player's performance, especially a rookie or a guy trying to make a roster. Like, let's say, like an offensive lineman, is he getting better? Is he learning? Like I'm hearing other people say about Tyler Smith, or a wide receiver just catching the ball, or a quarterback making better throws. It's very technical stuff that I look for the preseason. Because to me, sometimes if a team wins, it does to me that doesn't indicate how well they're gonna do. It's just maybe depth wise, they're good on depth, but it's just which player intrigues me and I would want to add to the team. So I'm curious how you feel about the winning and losing.
Yeah, I definitely don't care about winning and losing, especially if I'm a team there. I realize that most of these players are trying to gain a spot and not going to be as team friendly. For example, a wide receiver may go out of his way to try to make a play on a ball that's not necessarily thrown at him. If two guys are in a line, they may try to catch it. Or for an offensive lineman, more worried about pancaking the guy than picking up another block, trying to be more impressive, more show off mentality, trying to gain a spot, or a guy on kick return trying to blow up one guy instead of blocking two people, or trying to make a big play and running backwards and doing something that's not that smart. Like a kick return guy trying to make a big return and runs backwards and then gets tackled. They're going to be trying to make plays like that, and you have to take that with a grain of salt, knowing that they're doing everything they can to try to get a spot.
Yes, I think that's a great point. And now, final list is injuries, or final thing is we're kind of doing a quick just check in on the NFL. Tyron Smith injured. Becton, the left tackles or right tackle with the Jets injured, but the Jets signed Dwayne Brown. I like the Jets getting some depth offensively, even though they're going to be without Zach Wilson. And so injuries, I think it just really stinks, specifically the Tyron Smith issue, because he's been in the league for so long. But the past few years, he has struggled with staying healthy. But when you look at when he was drafted, he was like 20, and now he's like 32. So just the wear and tear that's on his body, I think it's just sadly the nature of the NFL, especially a lineman with how much weight they have to hold on. But are there any other injuries or people coming back from injuries? Because I know Bakhtiari's coming back. I think Marcus Peters got off the PUP list. I know Michael Thomas. I'm not sure about that, but just injuries in general. Anything that sticks out to you?
Definitely the offensive line for the Bucks. That's a big part of my injury concern. For the Packers, Bakhtiari is coming back. Jair Alexander, I know he came back at the end of last season, but he never was 100%. So I think seeing him at 100% is going to be something that I enjoy. Let me think. Other injuries. I know there has been some other smaller ones. I know, like, for example, Mike Evans pulled his hamstring, and everyone was like, oh my God, the Bucs season's over, but he's like back at practice the next day or something. So I'm not all that worried about it. And most of these injuries have not been major. I know the Zach Wilson one, that one, he's supposed to be back. So I definitely expect panic for the Jets to be on a low because they expect him to be back in time. So I'm not necessarily surprised, but I definitely think that there will be people getting back from injury. Injuries in football is definitely something that happens a lot. It's a physical game, but I think most of these injuries that have happened to notable players will simmer down and only be small things.
Yeah, we'll see. And injuries happen. That's why I need depth. I think that's a key thing. And finally, I almost forgot about it. Jimmy Garoppolo officially looking for a trade. Niners trying to trade him. How do we feel about it?
Well, they should trade him, and he deserves to get to a spot where he can start, or at least have a chance of starting. But because of how far we are through the preseason, practices have already been going for months now. So he'd have to learn a whole new playbook without much time to figure it out. But that's where he is right now, and he's going to have to accept it. And I do think San Francisco's best move is to trade him, especially if it's to a team that's outside their conference.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can argue for teams that he's a better quarterback than the quarterback they have. However, the teams that would trade for him and would need him to me diminish because some teams just aren't at that step of contending. I think one team that I could see do it is the Steelers, depending on how they feel about Kenny Pickett, and because Tomlin never wants to just tank, and Steelers don't do that. So I think if they're like Garoppolo gives us a better chance now to compete, I think they could trade for him. I don't see Seattle trading for him, especially in the division, even though they could use a quarterback like him. And that's really maybe the Jets do it if they want to stay competitive. But that's really what I think. Um, any thoughts on potential landing spots?
Nope.
So we'll see what happens. I hope he gets traded. Maybe they cut him and then he can choose wherever. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. And thank you for listening to our NFL Opinions of the Week.